Hi class, my name is Amy, and I'm going to be talking about entropy and how I explain or use examples to explain entropy to my junior high students. So entropy is a measure of randomness or chaos within the universe, and it's mainly known to be important in relation to energy and also thermodynamics. So, I have taught junior high science for the past 2 years, and I've learned that in order for junior hires to understand anything, genuinely anything, not just a difficult scientific subject, you have to break things down to the simplest form for them to understand, and then you can go and build on top of that once they understand the basis of it. So, although some of you have come from a background of teaching high schoolers, I'm very new to the field, so I've only been working with junior high so far. So, with junior high, we talk about actually, before we talk about entropy, before I taught anything about thermodynamics or about energy, we play a game. Now, this game doesn't teach entropy, but it does focus on order and randomness. And so it consists of 4 rounds. It doesn't really have a name, but I'll think of a name in the future. And it consists of 4 rounds. And first we focus on order before we go through the 4 rounds. We talk about order. We go through how everything in the classroom is organized and set and ready for them, and how they are sitting in an orderly way according to a seating chart. And then once we've mastered what order was, we go and we do the 4 rounds. So for the first round, I have everybody move over. The whole class will join, and everybody moves over either to the right or to the left, really whatever I'm in the mood of that day, or the mood for that day. And then in the second round, I have them stand up, and they go and find a spot completely separate from where they were sitting, or in a completely different spot than where they were originally sitting. And if they were sitting next to Sarah and Jonathan, then Sarah, Jonathan, and me would go and find places around the room that were nowhere near each other. And then for the third round, I would do that again. So once again, they would go, but they had to be sitting in a spot at the desk area. And then for the fourth one, this is where I really threw in the randomness, but they were able to find a spot anywhere around the room, and they could sit or stand or do a dance, whatever got their energy out before I had them sit and do a lesson. And then that would be the end of the 4 rounds. And then we would talk about how everything in the room no longer was in order. They were not in their seating charts, and there was a bunch of randomness within the class. You had kids dancing, you had kids standing, you had kids sitting, some of them were laying down, and they were nowhere near the original starting point. And then we would talk about the randomness and how there was suddenly chaos in the room because of all the wiggles and the giggles and stuff. And so once that game was over, I had them come back to their seat. And then my favorite example to use, because the students know that I'm obsessed with coffee, and it's something that's been like a running joke the entire year long. And so I would use coffee as my example to first explain entropy. So we would talk about, before I really brought in coffee, we would talk about why entropy is important, what it has to do with energy, what energy is, and the fact that entropy was so important because it helped show the distribution or the flow of energy within the universe. So once we talked about that, I helped to give them an analogy, like I said, with the coffee. So I sometimes had hot coffee in the morning, or I would have iced coffee in the afternoon, or whatever. They just always saw coffee in my hands. So it was nice to be able to bring an example to them that they were able to see. And usually I had a hot coffee and an iced coffee with me so they could actually visually see what I was talking about. The hot coffee was really hot, and I always made sure that steam was exiting the cup, and then the iced coffee was really cold. So we would talk about how heat made a difference with entropy. Did heat help entropy to decrease or increase? And did the ice help the liquid to increase or decrease? And although I used two liquid examples, we really focused on the gaseous state of the hot and the frozen state of the cold. So they would, I would call out a few students and then they would tell me why entropy was increased in the hot coffee and why entropy was decreased in the iced coffee, and what it had to do with its gaseous state, its liquid state, and its frozen state. So once that was completed, I would have them tie it all together. This usually wasn't all within the same day. It was usually at the end of the week or whenever we were done with the lesson. And I would have them do a rap or a poem or a song, whatever they liked. It helped to get their creative juices flowing, and it showed me if they understood what they were learning or not. And so I'd have them meet in groups of about 3 to 5 students, and then they would write a rap and they would perform it, or a poem or a song, and then they would perform it. And in that rap, poem, or song, they would have to tell me what entropy was and give me another analogy that I hadn't given them, and also why it was important. So I really made sure to cover all the bases while ensuring that they were having fun at the same time. So thank you guys for watching. I look forward to hearing all of your feedback.